What's up guys? So before I bought my Tesla, I was really curious about how Autopilot does in traffic. I watched a ton of videos on YouTube to really see if how the Autopilot did on the highways and interchanges to see if it could be useful in my daily commute. So I think a lot of people that have heard about Autopilot really want to know how useful it is in their commute. So I'm going to create a weekly series where I drive in Autopilot in traffic and document and show you guys on YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to be driving in heavy Los Angeles traffic out of downtown to really show you how the Autopilot does. What's up everyone, my name is Dennis and I just bought a Model 3 pretty recently and I make videos on my experience. If you're interested on any of that, please hit that subscribe. Okay, so I'm about to get onto the 110 East Highway, get up to cruising speeds, and I'm gonna turn on Navigate on Autopilot. Okay, looks like I can enable it. Navigate on Autopilot. So before, when I first had the Autopilot feature, I was allowing it to make the lane changes by itself, but I didn't necessarily like that, so now I changed it to where you have to confirm the lane change before it does it. So now it's not going to lane change until I do, so I just hit the stalk on the left and it just changed. I'm going to increase my speed to about 70 miles per hour. That's usually what I do on the highway. I hope you guys can see it. It's pretty bright right now. It's 8:43 a.m. On a Friday morning, about 81 degrees in Los Angeles. We're just leaving downtown LA on the I-10 East, and we're gonna get on to the I-5. So Autopilot seems to be doing good right now. It's just allowing trucks to get in front. I hate driving behind trucks because then the rocks kick up and it might crack your windshield or your bumper, so I do try and get around them. So it looks like Autopilot, I don't know if you saw it, Autopilot just stuttered a little bit. It was trying to figure out, because the lane split from 1 to 2, so it's trying to figure out to go to left or the right lane. It chose the right lane. Now it's reminding me to touch the steering wheel. We're cruising at a 52 miles per hour. I think I'm going to get into the left lane because I don't want to be behind this truck. But there is a Toyota SUV on my left lane, so I'm going to engage to go left. Oh, and Autopilot freaked out. It couldn't do it in time, so it just canceled. So I'm going to cancel it as well. I don't know if you can see this on the screen. It can't figure out, because there's no lane on the right side, it can't figure out where the lane is, so it's jittering a lot. It seems like there's a lot of traffic on the I-5. I might have to manually override to get around the traffic on the right lane. Alright, so I'm gonna have to manually override this. Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing. Autopilot is too hesitant. It doesn't like to try and speed up, or doesn't like to try and do aggressive maneuvers because it's playing it safe. So I think the two places where Autopilot actually really shines is highway speeds on the open road and this kind of bumper-to-bumper traffic, low speeds, because they can just keep the pace for you. Another thing with Autopilot is that it's pretty jerky and it accelerates quickly and brakes quickly. So if you're pretty prone to motion sickness, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I like to consider it's like a bad Uber with a bad driver. That's what you're sitting in. We're gonna jump on I-5. The Autopilot's telling me I should confirm my lane change to follow the route, so I'm gonna do that. I'm just going to follow whatever Autopilot wants to do today.
In 1,000 feet, take exit 1A head right onto Interstate 5 south towards Santa Ana.
Another thing that people don't actually realize is that Autopilot doesn't know how to coast. So, or I think it doesn't know how to coast well. Whereas humans can coast to a stop and use their regenerative braking, autopilot uses brakes more. So, which in turn will probably use your brakes more quicker than a normal human person would. So you probably have to replace your brakes faster than the 50 or 40,000 miles that a lot of other people are getting. So that was just another reminder to touch the steering wheel. So now we just got on the I-5 South. We should get to 70 miles per hour on this highway for a good amount until we run into some more traffic. Okay, confirm lane change into faster lane. So let's go ahead and do that. Pretty big, decent open road. Traffic coming on the left side back into downtown. We're leaving the downtown Los Angeles area down south towards Orange County. Pretty open stretch of road. No complications for autopilot. It's just cruising at 71 miles per hour. What I like to do is I like to increase the speed 1 mile per hour or one less so that the autopilot doesn't freak out. So I don't know if you saw that, but the car in front braked, slowed down just a little bit, and so now the Tesla is braking suddenly because it's trying to react. So that can get pretty annoying on long stretches of road if you're not watching ahead and paying attention. So now autopilot wants to get into the faster lane because it notices that cars are passing it on the left. Okay, running into some more traffic. Cruising at about 41 miles per hour. Passing exit 130A if you live in Los Angeles. Some cars stopping on our right-hand side. Autopilot's not freaking out yet. Still wants to go in the left lane, so let's go ahead and get in the left lane because it's a faster lane. Another thing I've noticed, I don't like autopilot making the lane changes for me because it can't necessarily see a few car lengths ahead, whereas a human can. So the autopilot might think that the left lane is faster, but I could potentially see traffic building up on the left side, so I won't want to get into the left lane. All right, let's try this again. Left lane, and a truck entered our left side, so autopilot doesn't want to go anymore. And now autopilot's braking because it's still trying to go in the left lane. And of course now it wants to get in the left lane as a big truck is there and it's going to kick up rocks. So I'm going to force it to go in the left lane again to the fast lane so that hopefully we don't get any rocks kicked up onto our car. Increase the speed a little bit. Another thing I've noticed is that if you're a big Waze user, the Tesla navigation often chooses different routes than the Waze navigation. But that's probably because Los Angeles has so many different routes you can take to get to the same destination with all the different highways. If you're wondering which day this is in terms of traffic, this is a Friday going south on I-5. Cruising at about 70 miles per hour, autopilot's doing fine. Just constant reminders to touch the steering wheel as normal. Of course, we're in the most dangerous spot right behind a truck to the left, so hopefully autopilot will speed up. Okay, Prius just moved out of our lane, so autopilot will now speed up. It's increasing speed to 74 miles per hour because that's what I have it set at. From what it looks like on my long commutes, you don't necessarily want to go past 70 to 75 because that's where it really uses the battery more than 70 miles per hour. In terms of battery usage, I do about 100 miles a day, and it's been pretty consistent with accurately estimating my battery mile range on the battery. So autopilot just noticed some traffic above, so we brake down to 40 miles per hour. Another thing with autopilot I've noticed, it's a little later than a human reaction. Sometimes it can notice things through the next car, under the car, but sometimes it can't. And it just notices, it starts to brake when the car in front of you starts to brake. Okay, so we're about to hit some heavy traffic. Cruising at 25 miles an hour on the left lane on I-5 South. Okay, looks like autopilot's going to come to almost a complete stop. Yeah, so you can't necessarily see it on the camera, but autopilot brakes pretty heavily, whereas a human could probably coast with the regenerative braking to a stop. So I do like autopilot because definitely you don't have to pay attention as much in driving, but you still do, because if you're not ready for those sudden brakes, you could get nauseous if you're prone to car sickness. Okay, increasing speed. Looks like traffic's picking up, but it looks like it's just going to stop again, so that's the problem with Los Angeles traffic. And now we are coming to a almost complete stop with autopilot. And stopped. 0 miles per hour. So this is where I really think autopilot comes in handy, because you don't necessarily have to start again. It just goes when it wants to, keeps it in the lane. Keeps it in the lane in that bumper to bumper rush hour traffic. And we're stopped again. So you can see autopilot doesn't try and get into the faster lane on the right side as all these cars are passing. Cruising at about 36 miles per hour. No issues. Stop and go traffic. I'm going to be on this highway for the next 26 miles or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record. I'm going to come back when we get near to a highway exchange or interchange or exit, so I can record what that looks like with autopilot. Be right back. So another thing I've noticed is that the autopilot freaks out in these construction zones or when the GPS screws up. So we're now entering an area where yesterday when I was driving, the autopilot thought I was on the local roads or getting off an exit, and so it reduced my speed from 71 miles per hour cruise control setting to 50 or 40 miles per hour. So let's see what it does today. The braking has been pretty rough today, so I'm getting actually a little bit nauseous. Slightly nauseous, but nothing a coffee can't fix. Okay, so we're about to enter more of the construction zone. Some more braking. So that's another thing it's doing. It's trying to figure out if cars are going to speed up or not. So it pumps the accelerator, more kind of like pumping the brake, but pumping the accelerator. So it just keeps tapping it, hesitating on whether or not to go faster or not. Okay, so I think it just screwed up a little bit because you can see the blue bars go to the ends of the lanes and then back into the center. So what I like to do now is I like to kind of double check whether the route that Tesla wants to take versus Waze to see if it's actually the fastest. So Tesla wants the lane change to the right, so let's go ahead and do that. saying the left lane is wide open, but it can't necessarily recognize that unless a car passes that's faster. Oh, actually no, it does. So confirm lane change into the fastest lane. So let's go do that. And auto lane change unavailable. Interesting. So basically just canceled my lane change even though I gave it permission. It was pretty wide open, but now a car is passing on the left, so maybe that's why it just hesitated again. So now it wants to do it again. Let's give it the go ahead. I'm still not fully trusting. Yep, there we go. So it went to the lane change. It noticed maybe a car was behind us, so it hesitated, went back a little bit, and then finally went through and finished the lane change. So that is a little nerve-wracking because when you're monitoring Autopilot, you can obviously see that the car's pretty much that the car has a good amount of space to go into the lane, but the Tesla still likes to freak out a little bit because of the space. So this is where Waze and Tesla navigation clashes. Tesla navigation wants me to go straight down I-5 South, but Waze says to get off here and take Route 22 down 55 to I-5 South. It's a weird kind of turnaround, but Waze thinks it's faster. I should actually time both routes to kind of see which route is fastest. So I'm going to try and force the Tesla to go along the Waze route and then see it recalibrate and then just let it follow along after that. Ooh, heavy braking. Okay, so now that that van has pulled out, it's going to speed up a little bit. Slow down. Okay, I'm going to make the lane change, and there's no way Tesla's going to do it. There's too many cars behind. Ooh, that was tight and a little scary. Bus passing on our right. Tesla's braking like crazy. It wants to go back left because it doesn't know we're trying to get off this exit. So I might have to manually override it. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to have to manually override. Okay, so it's going to force this exit. Switch it back. Oh. Okay, switch it back. It's going to take this highway interchange on Autopilot. Okay, it's speeding up, but it doesn't know that this car is going to come in. Oh, this is intense. That's probably a little too close for my comfort if it was on Autopilot. It's probably a little bit too close for my comfort on Autopilot. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky because I know there is another highway ramp that merges in here, so it's a three-way merge down to I think 2 lanes coming up. It wants to get into the left lane to follow route. It just reminded me again. I'm just going to hang tight. Actually, let's just follow. Let's see what happens. So we're going to make a left lane change on the highway ramp. Okay. Huge semi on my left. Doesn't look like it wants to come into my lane, so we can sit tight. A Volvo XC60 just pulled into my lane. Looks like Tesla wants to change into the left lane to go faster, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so in 1.5 miles is going to take another exit, 17A, to get onto another highway. So this should be good, or 17B it looks like. Oh no, actually Waze says I should get off at a local exit and try and navigate to the local roads. I'm not sure if I wanted to do that. Car coming into the lane, Tesla heavy brakes instead of cruising. sailing. Looks like someone else just picked up a Tesla as well. And some heavy braking. And some other news, I just hit 1,000 miles on the Tesla Model 3. I'm not sure if that affects kind of the autopilot software or the learning for this specific Model 3, but it's a fairly new Model 3 using autopilot on California highway roads. Okay, so we are now on the exit in bumper to bumper traffic. Okay, taking this highway ramp at about 34 miles an hour. The next highway interchange is about 1.5 miles, and we don't necessarily have to get all the way to the left lane, so we can stay in this right lane to get there. So hopefully the Tesla doesn't try and think that we have to get all the way over there to the some double highway merges, some car merges, a Mustang passing us on the left lane going pretty fast. Tesla wants to change into the left lane and then possibly change back, so let's see what Tesla wants to do today. Okay, it's gonna freak out. No, okay. One left lane change and heavy braking. So we're currently on the 55 South, going to merge onto I-5 South again. Okay, about to get onto the I-5 South exit.
Now take exit 11A on the right.
Tesla's gonna follow the route. Okay, it's signaled going into the left lane exit. It's gonna speed up now. Just following the lanes. Looks like it's pacing the truck in front of us. Doesn't want to do any lane changes. I personally would probably get into the right lane to get out from behind these trucks. Just following along the ramp. So one thing I did notice that it just reduced my speed from, I was probably at 64 setting to 45 miles per hour just because it's on the highway ramp. It's keeping a pretty far distance from this truck. And I have it set at 1 car length distance. We have a truck passing us on our right. Let's increase the speed a little bit. Maybe that's why I was keeping such a distance, because my speed was capped at 50 miles per hour. Traffic. Alright, that's pretty much it. There's only one more exit, so it's a pretty boring exit as well, so I'm going to end it here for this morning Los Angeles autopilot commute. Autopilot is great, but it still has a lot of hesitation in heavy traffic. As you can see with aggressive drivers in LA, autopilot is way too conservative. I find myself engaging and disengaging autopilot when I know that autopilot is not going to be aggressive enough. One thing I need to mention though is if you're prone to car sickness, autopilot is definitely not for you. It brakes heavy and it accelerates really quickly. I like to think of autopilot like being in a really bad Uber with a really bad driver. It accelerates quickly and it brakes, and it pumps the brakes a lot too. Thanks for watching. Hit that like if you enjoyed this video. I really want to document how Tesla's Autopilot does in Los Angeles traffic. Let me know your thoughts and comment below if you use Autopilot on a daily basis. See ya!